So this weekend, we tackled drywall. So this is all the drywall we picked up at the hardware store. And then my husband went online and picked up this contraption, which without this, I don't know how we would have done any of the roof. So it, as you can imagine, we would take the entire huge piece of drywall that you can just get at the hardware store as is. Typically you cut that down to size, but the entire piece is what we would go and put on the roof, and on the walls. That contraption helped hold it up, which is amazing. I honestly don't know how you would do it without it, if you're not a professional especially. So there I showed how my husband was able to cut the holes. He also bought a special little cutting machine for that. I don't know the name of it, but it cuts holes, and so it's pretty awesome because that way we didn't have to pre-cut the holes. He could just put the drywall on, measure out where the hole should be, and then go along the area of the hole with that machine and just cut out the hole. So that worked out for the light fixtures. Here we are measuring out where all the screws go, because you do have to do your research and find out how far apart each screw needs to be, especially in the ceiling. It's going to be different. I think they have to be closer together, if I'm not mistaken. So you want to make sure that you figure out where the screws are supposed to be, because there is a rule for even that. Otherwise you might have drywall fall off the ceiling. And so here I'm just showing how we were measuring all the pieces beforehand. So we would measure, cut. Obviously we always measure twice, cut once, and then we would take that piece over to the pool house. And the easiest way was to score it. Basically, you score it with an X-Acto knife or a razor blade, and then you just kind of tap it, and it cuts right off. For the actual screws, there are special drill bits that you use because you want to have that indentation on the drywall, because otherwise when you go to mud, you'll have a little bulge sticking out. So definitely keep that in mind if you're drywalling anything. I didn't know that, and after my husband taught me that, I realized, well, that totally makes sense, because yes, drywalling, I do have experience with that with our last house, and I can definitely attest to, you're adding layers on a wall, and you'll be able to see, depending on where the light hits and the shade and all that, you'll be able to see the little bulges. Here I'm just showing, this is what the finished house looked like with drywall, blue drywall. Now the shower, obviously we did not use the same drywall because it's a wet area. My husband did research and found this Curdy board. I hope I'm saying that right. This is meant for wet areas, so it's made out of different material. Obviously it almost feels like foam board, like the kind that you used for science projects. Now I'm getting ready to mud, and so this is everything I'm using. We've got this all-purpose joint compound, which is supposed to save time. It's already pre-mixed. You can add water if you want to thin down. Got some tape. I watched a bunch of different videos, and everyone said that you shouldn't need to sand. You just need a sponge if you do everything right. But just in case, I did get a drywall sponge, sanding sponge, just a lower grade, just for anything pretty big. But you don't want the drywall, like the little dust flying everywhere, which is why a wet sponge. I've used this before and it works really well. I've got a 4-inch, a 10-inch, and a 12-inch taping knife. This is a joint knife, and instead of getting one of these on the 4-inch, I decided to go with this because it should be a little bit more flexible, a little bit easier to use. And then for the corners, I decided to splurge and get one of these just because I watched other videos and this was supposed to be a lifesaver. I've done corners. They're so hard, a lot harder than the pros make it look like. So I decided to get one of these. And I almost forgot, I also splurged on this because I've used the metal trays. And after doing some more research, I found that these, what are they called, towel? A hawk. That these are a lot easier to use. So I decided to get one of these instead of a tray. So we'll see how all this goes. It's coming along. Alright, so it's day 5 of mudding. It's Thursday. We just got home from work like maybe half an hour ago. Ate a quick snack and now I'm back here for what's hopefully going to be the last day of mudding because I just got to do the ceiling, which mudding a ceiling is not fun, especially one that is not straight. Ours is slanted and it's been a pain in the butt. But I did not film myself mudding because I'm not a professional. This is only the second time in my life that I do this. With the first house, I really just watched a video like once or twice, did it wrong, and you could kind of see a bump. Pretty much saw a bump in the 2 rooms where I mudded. But it wasn't so bad. So this time I actually wanted to do a better job because I knew I could, because the last time wasn't too bad for my first time. And so I've really taken this seriously. I've picked like my 2 favorite YouTubers and watched their videos over and over and over again. And while I'm mudding, if I forget, or sometimes I'm mudding and all of a sudden I'm like, I feel like I'm doing this wrong, and I just forgot, blanked out, I put on the video, watch it on the spot, and it's been so much more helpful. I bought equipment that I thought would help me, much better quality equipment. The Hawk is a game changer, by the way. This thing right here. Last time we did with our last house, I used the tray, which a lot of tutorials tell you to use, and it's not fun when you're going up and down the stairs, especially with the ceiling, because here I had to do the ceiling. With the last house, I actually did a portion of the ceiling. This is really helpful because as you're mudding, if it falls, it just falls in this. A lot of it has fallen on the ground, but because we haven't done the flooring, it's not a big deal, which is awesome. And I also have this, can you see, this huge bucket of water over here, which is also a game changer, because the thing I hate the most from when it comes to painting or these kinds of projects is the cleaning up process. With the huge tub of water, I just throw everything in there, scrub it up, and that's it. Like I said, I'm not a professional mudder, so I wasn't gonna film a how-to video on that because it wasn't gonna be good. There's so many people out there that are pros that have really good videos. I'll link the ones that I use down below, women included, that I have found who are amazing. And I just think it takes a lot of practice. But I do think that I can call myself a construction worker now. I'm pretty sure I can. I have one strip of mud right there in that wall. Here, let me see. That I am so proud of because it's like the most perfect part out of all of them. The lines are straight. It's super flat. I don't think I'm gonna have to do much sanding. It's the right width. I already tested it yesterday, but basically if I put my knife flat, it like doesn't rock, or barely rocks, I guess. I don't know, that's good enough, right? Like, it's just amazing. It's just awesome. And then there's the rest of it, which is not that great. My husband made mudding my job. Last house did the same thing, and but he did help me with the screws right there. You see all those blobs? That was him. And he also did the window. And so this room is pretty much done except for the ceiling. Like I said, today I'm doing the third and last step, and then we'll probably sand, and my husband plans to do priming and maybe texture tomorrow, and then we can start painting. And then this is the floor. Like I said, lots of droppings of mud, but because we haven't done the floor, it was awesome because I've always been used to having to take care of the floor, and I didn't this time. So I think next is going to be flooring once we get the walls all painted. I have not done the bathroom just because we decided to finish that room so that this weekend I can mud the bathroom while this room's getting painted. So my husband and maybe my friend are gonna paint this room, and that way I can mud this room. And so it's not as big, thankfully, so hopefully it won't take me too long. And then we can paint this. We use this Curdy board. It's this orange. It's almost like foam. It reminded me of like a poster board, like a school poster board. And then you do have to use these special things for the screws. My husband did all this, but it's awesome because it has the grid marks for you to cut. He said it was still not super easy to cut. I think maybe because it's a little bit more flimsy. But it's completely waterproof. So instead of doing the concrete, which he was not looking forward to, he found that, did research on this, found that. And so that's what he was able to do, which was great. And then obviously this window hasn't been mudded either. So yeah, this is coming along, and my hand, I've worked every night this week, and it's been exhausting because we come home, I work till like about 9:30. I get ready for work, and then I wake up the next morning at 6 in the morning to go to work. And I do still go to the gym during lunch, so it's been exhausting, but it's okay because since we're not too far from the house is right there. It's awesome because I can put on my iPad. I can just put on the Dish app and just watch TV or my DVR recordings. When we first got the house, he did the majority of the work himself, and then I would cook. And now I'm doing this work, and he is in charge of cooking, or he'll come out and help me. So it's been pretty cool. And like I said, the house is right there. So this time around it's been different. The difference between this time and last time with our last house is that with our last house, I was just starting off at my new job. I was working late nights every day and weekends. They had us do mandatory weekends for a while. And then I was going to the new house after work, working for like 2 hours, would get home around 9 or 10. We were eating out every night, which was terrible. And then I would drive to our apartment, which was like another 15 minutes drive. And I was always doing that by myself because my husband had school. And so he would do it during the day because he would get out of class earlier than I would get off work. And so when I would go after work, I was all by myself. We didn't have electricity, at least not, we had like 2 lamps. We did have electricity, we just had lamps. There was no like overhang lights or anything, so it was really limited on electricity. We didn't have cable, no TVs. Like, it was not a furnished house. We hadn't moved in yet. There was no internet. I was limited on LTE at that time. We were pretty broke on that, and I was limited on LTE at that time, so I couldn't even have YouTube on or listen to the radio or anything. And this time I'm right outside the house, so literally the house is right there. So if I need anything, if I get hungry, thirsty, I just go in the house, get whatever I need, and I can watch TV if I want to. So it's awesome. I am a lot happier this time around. I'm happier with the end product. Obviously it's not perfect, but I think it'll do.